So this is the game GoldieBlox and the Parade Float. It is designed for kids, especially girls, ages 4 to 9. And the prior knowledge that's required of the players is the ability to read, although if they do not know how to read, I'm sure a parent would be able to step in and help them with that. And in the game, children learn how to follow instructions, how various parts fit together, the vocabulary terms wheel and axle, and various applications of the wheel and axle. And the way these ideas might transfer out of the game is, for example, if a child is asked to do a worksheet in class, they may be better at following instructions after learning to read the instructions in the book and apply them to the game. And also, if they are building with other toys like Lego or K'NEX, there's a lot of parallels there. So the goal of the game is to help Goldie and Ruby build Katinka's float for the parade. So the children are given plastic parts and a book to follow along. And at the bottom of some of the pages in the book, there will be a prompt that will ask the children to stop and build, for example here, build Katinka's baton with 1 block and 2 short axles. So using the book as a guide, the players connect the game's parts to create the pictured item. Each part of the story contains a new building project, and this culminates in a large project at the end of the book. In this case, it culminates with Katinka's parade float. So here is my friend Maggie, who is not of the age 4 to 9, but she is creating Katinka's baton. So the story of Goldie, Ruby, and Katinka creates a sense of fantasy, narrative, and fellowship. And the trial and error process of the building in the game adds some challenge and discovery of how parts fit together. And the hands-on three-dimensional play adds a lot of sensation. So the learning principles that are employed here, number 1 is scaffolding, because each build activity is more complex than the last. So by the end of the book, kids are putting together a lot of parts that they learned how to do maybe at the beginning of the book, but they're now creating one big product with all the smaller parts. It uses application, as the book introduces words like wheel and axle, and then it promptly requests that the players use those items, which means they need to understand, once those words are introduced, what they apply to. And the multimedia mix between reading the book and building with hands, and spatial contiguity, so new vocabulary words are presented next to the images of what they describe, as you can see below. So my first redesign is a guided reflection journal in the back of the book that asks questions like, draw a picture of a wheel. Can you find something in your home that could be used as a wheel? I thought of this idea because I was thinking about the learning principles of explanation and linking to allow the players to reflect on what they've done in the book, in the story, and the importance of that. This will add time for thought and writing to the end of the game, and this will allow for more discovery and an opportunity for the players to express themselves. So an additional learning objective introduced here is writing and spelling skills, and again, with the repetition of the vocabulary, you can see that it'll probably help with transfer out of game. My second redesign is to ask the kids at the end of this story to create their own parade float using anything they can find around the house. So this is inspired by my desire to enhance that out-of-game transfer. And all of a sudden the resources in the home become the resources for the game, and the building process can take on whatever form the child desires. So the player will use her imagination to discover new applications for the wheel and axle. So again, the learning objective here is that out-of-game transfer and the understanding of the relationship between working parts. The learning principles employed are anchored learning, so they learn that this is applicable to real life as they're using real-life material, and variability as they're using different things like books, different parts from the game or from their house, and application, as again it applies to their daily life.